Still on vacation in Long Island, but I am going to be introducing author Georgia Clark, and we're going to be talking about her brand new book called The Bucket List. And I was so excited to read this book. It has been coming. I've been seeing pictures of it everywhere, and then I finally got to read it, and I got to talk to her, and we had such an amazing talk. I loved her so much. I laughed, I cried through this book. You are going to love it, and you are going to love her. So everyone, here is Georgia. Hi, everyone. I am so excited because I am speaking with author Georgia Clark, and we are talking about her brand new book called The Bucket List. And I'm acting like I'm holding it, and I don't have it. Georgia. It's like this book just came out, and I was reading it on NetGalley. So anyway, they'll be looking at it in my intro. They can see the cover of it. And like I said, it's your book release week, and I am so happy for you. I see this book everywhere. Everybody is reading this book, and it is so good. And I have to tell you that when I started it, because I didn't know what it was about at first, right? And when I started it, I was like, oh, is this gonna, I was like, is this gonna be depressing? Like, how is this? And then it turns out to be so funny and so good. And, you took a subject of, I'm gonna let you talk about it in a minute, but you took a subject that every woman kind of just cringes at. And
Right.
then, it was so good. So I'll let you tell everybody, like, how you came up with this book.
Sure. The Bucket List is about a young woman in New York City who is diagnosed with the BRCA1 gene mutation. That's the breast cancer gene. And that really forces a decision, either ongoing surveillance, sort of every 3 months getting checked and tested, or the more radical step of a preventative surgery, preventative double mastectomy, which is not a decision that Lacey Whitman wants to make at 25 years old, given the complex stage she's at with her new career as a trend forecaster and also on the founding team of a sustainable fashion app. She's from a small town, and she's jettisoned herself to New York to start building her life, and a major surgery such as a mastectomy is not on the cards for her. So to help her make up her mind, she and her friends create a boob bucket list, hence the name, with all the things she wants to do with and for her boobs before a possible surgery. Lacey's not a very sexually experienced woman, and so the thought of losing her boobs before they've had her heyday is very confronting. And this kicks off a year of sexual exploration and sensual sort of self-education as she comes to have a different relationship with her body and really with everyone around her as she comes to terms with making this very difficult decision.
Yes. And I'm 53, and I've known a lot of people, a lot of women who have had to go through this and who've had to make the decision. But I have daughters in their 20s. And that's what I kept thinking about as I was reading this. It was like, oh my gosh, like that is at like half my age. Like,
Right.
It's a difficult decision for someone my age, let alone, like you said, before her boobs have had their heyday. Like, your boobs are good at 25. Okay. Like,
she likes the boobs. She doesn't want to lose the boobs.
I know. And I love the way you talk about it. And it's just like, right. I was like, at 25, they were doing really good. And, they got to be in a lot of bikinis and,
That's right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So and I look at my daughters now and I tell them that all the time. Like, I'm very open about it. And I'm always like, oh, your boobs are looking so good today. They're like, Mom. I'm like, because you have to, you got to appreciate that. And so that's what made the story even more like heartwarming, was that, here's a young girl who's having to make this decision. And thank God we have that. Like, we have that technology.
Yeah, I mean, as Lacey says, like, she understands that she's in a privileged position being able to make this choice, and that, millions of women are not able to make this choice. It's just, if she's honest with herself, it's just not a choice she wants to have to make. Right. And it's because having a mastectomy means that you lose all, pretty much all sensation in your breast, because the point of it is taking away all of the breast tissue and replacing it with implants, as well as it being, a major surgery which takes you out of work for a recovery period that is somewhat unknown, like weeks, if not months.
Months. Right.
There's like a financial component to it as well, because there's always various copays that come in, and that again is very mysterious. I mean, you never really want to voluntarily go into any kind of medical operation in this country without health insurance.
Right.
But unfortunately, Lacey's BRCA status puts her at a very high risk of one day developing breast cancer. It is lower. It is a lower risk because she's younger, but it doesn't go away. It just kind of actually starts to compound the older that she gets. And so, she sort of has to make a decision of what she will do either way. Right. And that's what the book sort of explores.
Yeah, well, I want to tell everybody your first line. I love first lines, okay? And yours is, I'm having a bad nipple day. And what kind of way to start off a book about boobs than that way, right? I mean, it made me laugh right from the first line. I was like, right, like, I never really thought about it, but there are some bad nipple days if you want to, if you want to think about it. There's some bras that aren't that nice and not that kind and,
Too much, too little, I mean, this book is a very frank book about sexuality. There is sex in it, and it talks about the body, in a way that is not just, there's obviously a lot of sexy scenes, but, this is a book about a breast cancer gene and about women who have mastectomies. So it doesn't shy away from that topic. Right. So I wanted to sort of, dive in straight away and let people know, like, this is going to be a pretty earthy conversation. And if that's not your bag, that's totally fine. But if it is, like, come to the party.
Absolutely. Right. And then you end that first chapter with one word, immortal.
Right.
And then I was like, and that had so many connotations to it because she's not talking about herself because she's not, but then it's like immortal, like sums it up. Like, I don't know. I love
that. I think that at 25, you more or less feel like you are immortal. I'm in my late 30s now, and I feel very differently from when I was in my mid 20s, and that life was very expansive. It was sort of nothing but decisions and opportunities, and the idea that something might come in, like rocket into your life and announce to you that you're not as, you don't have as much time as you think you do, or the very real knowledge of you are in fact going to die one day is not something that she is prepared to experience. And it's also just not the world she's in. She works for a trend forecaster and as in junior sales, but in a sort of well-respected trend forecaster in the city called Hoffman House, and it's filled with bright, ambitious young people, all sort of like herself, who are sort of all in the same boat, in sort of feeling like their opportunities are limitless. And so she, in the first chapter, gets the diagnosis from her doctor after having a test done that she is a carrier of the BRCA gene mutation, and that immediately sort of starts to switch her worldview and how she sees her friends and how she sees her life, and it starts to really wake her up.
Yeah, and like I want to tell everybody that, I mean, you do take on that topic, but it's also hysterical. Like I had laugh out loud moments, okay? Really, I did. Where I'm just like all by myself just laughing, and it's like, oh wow, you are such a great writer, and you made her so lovable, in her journey, I should say. And then of course, like the title, like the bucket list, don't we all, especially as I get older, and I keep meaning to do a bucket list. Like you see people putting them on Pinterest and, talking about their own little, and I'm like, I really don't have a per se bucket list. I really shouldn't need to be working on that, but hers is hysterical, just so you know.
Yeah. I mean, some of the things on her bucket list are, some of them are pretty innocent, like sunbathe naked, or just wear a very revealing dress, which she doesn't tend to do. But some of them are more risque, like having sex in public or having a threesome. And her friends are all much more open-minded and experienced, sort of sexually more comfortable talking about sex, but as she sort of opens up to them about what the decisions she has to make, she realizes that she really isn't very open-minded about sex, and she's had a lot of more damaging messages about sex that have been sort of absorbed somewhat subconsciously from her small town that she grew up in, and that she has to start to do the work to sort of undo them. But yeah, I mean, I really did want to approach a topic that was very serious, and it was definitely not something I took lightly. It was delicate balance, because you
Yeah.
can't ever make fun of something like breast cancer. You can't ever make light of it or be flip about it. But I do think there is space for us to have these sort of more difficult topics in a way where we can laugh and there is
And
humor to them,
yes.
because it's not. I read, obviously I did a lot of research for this book because I'm not a carrier of the gene mutation, and I read a lot of memoirs. There is another really funny comic memoir called Dangerous Boobies by Caitlin Brodnick.
Yeah.
But in the kind of fiction space, mostly this topic is treated with like, grave reverence. And of course there should be, and there must be a space for that. But being able to approach something that is such an important women's health issue, but also giving it sort of more of a humorous slant, I think is really important and a real gift to give women.
Absolutely. That's what I said. Like, when I realized what it was, I was like, oh. And then as I'm reading it, I'm like, okay, it's fun. It can be fun because we have to have fun. And, and she learned that. And that's what I loved about her. And you go through the stages with her, and the ending is just beautiful. We don't give away anything.
No spoilers.
No spoilers. But you know what? I have been seeing this cover for months on Instagram and Facebook, and the hype. I mean, I was like, I couldn't wait to read it because I'd seen it all, and everybody's like, read this book, read this book, read this book. So you must be having an amazing week right now.
It's definitely really fun. There's so much build up to it. It's really, there's nothing much else like it. I mean, it's so much more than like a birthday or anything like that.
Christmas.
And it's sort of, but it's scary as well as being exciting because, when you first start writing a book, you have complete control over it. When it's just you at the computer,
Right.
It's 100% your decisions. And then slowly other people come into the process. Like I work with a wonderful freelance editor, Sarah Cipher, who's like always one of the first people to read. Then, my agent, my editor at Simon & Schuster, like it's very sort of people drip into the process, and then it starts to widen quite quickly the closer you get to pub. Like once you submit in-house, it's read, by all of the various teams, and it starts to, and then as soon as you get your advanced copies, your arcs, it goes out into the world, but in still somewhat of a controlled way. Like it does start to kind of feather off into the wild, but you sort of have an idea of who has it, and now it's game over. It's like your kid moving out of home. Like, I don't know where they are, I don't know what they're doing, like I'm not sure what hours they're up till, like,
oh wow.
And then you just cross your fingers and hope for the best,
Yeah, and it's everywhere. Trust me. I'm saying everywhere. So I am so excited for you. And I want to tell everybody we're going to be giving away a copy on Instagram. Go to my Instagram account. And before I let you go, what's next? Because I can't wait.
Oh, thank you. Well, I mean, still a lot of work with the bucket list of just sharing the message.
Yes.
I am working on a new book, but I also, if you're ever in New York City, I host a monthly storytelling night in the Lower East Side called Generation Women, which invites a woman in her 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s to tell an original true story on a theme. So you can find us at generationwomen.us, and I always host and tell a story as well. That's my side project. That's my little side hustle, my baby.
Wait, so is it open? Like anybody can come?
Yeah. It's a public event, a public storytelling night at a theater called Caveat.
Okay, because I'm not that far from you, and I spent a lot of time in New York. So.
Girl, come and see us.
Definitely. What night is this?
So our next show is August 15th, and it's going to be a little book release party show for the bucket list. The theme is crossing off my bucket list. And then we're monthly. So our dates jump around a little bit.
I'm going to definitely check that out because I'm in New York all the time. So.
Oh, great. Please. Yeah.
Well, it was so nice to meet you, and I feel so blessed to have read it. I really did. I am, like I said, I've been waiting for months, and when I finally got my hand on it, I'm like, yay! So it's out there, and I can't wait to get this out there for everybody. So you have a great week. I know it's going to be so much fun, and maybe I'll see you soon. Please,
yeah.
Okay, have a great day.
Thanks. Bye.
For watching my interview with Georgia. Wasn't she amazing? You've got, if you have not read this book, you've got to get it. I have the Amazon link listed below. I'm going to be giving away a copy on my Instagram account. And I just want to thank everyone for watching. Please hit the like button if you had fun watching us. And please subscribe also. But I will put the link to Instagram. I highly suggest go reading this book. It is an amazing read. I'm serious. You're going to love it. She is so incredible. And I can't wait to speak with her again. So thank you, Georgia. And thank you, everyone.